Hi, my name is Chris Sturhan. Welcome to another episode of Drinks from Eddie Muller's Noir Bar. Each week we take a chapter from the book Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, Cocktails Inspired by the World of Film Noir, and we look at the film from that chapter and we make the drink associated with that film. Today we are looking at the film and drink of the same name, the Blue Dahlia. Now, the Blue Dahlia came out in 1946 and stars Veronica Lake and Alan Ladd. Now, if you think about film noir couples, you probably would think about Bogey and Bacall first, but actually Veronica Lake and Alan Ladd were kind of smoking up the silver screen in film noir 2 years before Bogey and Bacall became a thing. Now, I think the two couples are pretty neck and neck when we talk about film noir couples. I might give a slight edge to Bogey and Bacall, but I think that's mostly because they show their films more often. Now, for me, most of the Alan Ladd, Veronica Lake films kind of blend together a little bit. They're very hard-boiled. One was based on a Graham Greene novel. One was based on a Dashiell Hammett novel. This one, the screenplay was written by Raymond Chandler. So they come off fairly similar. So I have trouble keeping them straight. If you have the same trouble, this is the one with William Bendix. Oh wait, that probably doesn't help all that much. I'll give you another hint. 2 words. Monkey music. So if you've seen this movie, you probably remember it from those 2 words. Now, this movie is sort of like a film noir version of The Best Years of Our Life. And using that analogy, you take Dana Andrews and you kind of split his character in 2. And the bad marriage part of the character goes to Alan Ladd, and the PTSD goes to William Bendix. And then you take Harold Russell and you take his hooks for hands and you make them in a steel plate in William Bendix's head. Now, in this scenario, Frederick March becomes Hugh Beaumont, and Hugh Beaumont really doesn't have a lot to do in this film. He just kind of sits around waiting for Barbara Billingsley to show up. Okay, that was a joke. Barbara Billingsley is not in this movie. So, anyway, I love this movie. Alan Ladd and Veronica Lake are just really good together. There's one thing that I thought I should talk about for this, and it's something that is kind of a problem with many film noir films, is the tacked on ending. Very often film noir films will have a very weird ending that just comes out of nowhere. And oftentimes that is because the producer or somebody in the studio saw that they had a film that was going to end very bleak. Somebody was going to die. Somebody was going to go to prison. Somebody was going to get their heart put through a meat grinder, and they thought that would depress audiences and affect ticket sales. That was not the case here, but it does have a somewhat tacked on ending. I won't go into very much details on this, but the U.S. Navy didn't like the original ending of the film, so they wanted it changed. And apparently Raymond Chandler, in making the screenplay, really struggled to come up with something that would work. And to be honest with you, it comes up very abruptly. If you blink during about the last minute of this movie, you might completely miss it. So I would not suggest you go freshen your drink while you're waiting for the end of the movie or watching the end of the movie. So anyway, the Blue Dahlia drink is a vodka drink, and I wanted to do a vodka drink partly because I hadn't done vodka. And with this video, I've touched on all the major spirit groups. So we're going to have some vodka. Now, part of the reason I picked the Blue Dahlia is because it calls for fresh blueberries. Well, it calls for blueberries, and blueberries are in season right now, so I wanted to use fresh blueberries, so that's why we're doing this. So what we are going to start with is it's a shaken drink, and we are going to start with blueberries, and it calls for 10. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. It calls for 2 leaves of basil. So there's 2 leaves of basil. And it calls for 4 leaves of mint. And you know what? Those were relatively small, so I'm going to do that too. I like mint. And then we muddle them, and this is not, oops, wait a second. I forgot something. Simple syrup. Shit. Don't worry, we'll edit that out in post. Okay, so we need simple syrup, and we get just a 1/4 ounce of simple syrup, which is such a small amount that I don't even think my jigger accommodates it, but that looks like that's probably about 1/4 ounce. So we're going to put that in there, and then we're going to muddle this. I don't have a real muddler, but I've been using this to muddle mint and fresh fruit in drinks for quite a while, so I think it'll work just fine. Okay, we're going to call that good. And then we're going to do our spirits. We need 1.5 ounces of vodka. So 1.5 ounces of vodka. Okay. And 1/2 ounce of Luxardo maraschino liqueur, so which is something I just got and I have yet to try. So there we go, is our 1/2 ounce, and a dash of either lemon or orange bitters, which I probably should put in last, but I didn't. And we also need a 1/2 ounce of, oh, we need a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Okay, now we're going to add ice and find the top of my shaker. Okay, break that open. And now this calls for a double strain, which Eddie calls for a julep strainer, which I do not have, so I'm just going to use my regular strainer and a mesh strainer. He calls for a julep strainer and a mesh strainer, but I'm just going to do it all in once, except I'm not going to pour it in the ice. I'm going to do it in my coupe glass. And oh, now I know why he did this. This is not straining well at all. Okay, we're going to call that good. And so we're going to, the garnish calls for a sprig of mint. So I'm going to take the mint, I'm going to hit it, wake it up a little bit, and it calls for a lemon peel. Let's try that one more time. God, I am screwing up this time. Okay, and we're going to take our lemon peel and we're going to twist it and just drop it in. And we have the Blue Dahlia. So, cheers. Oh, wow. That's really good. That's really tasty. You can definitely tell there's some booze in there. But you're definitely getting the blueberry and I think a hint of the cherry. It's really, really nice. So anyway, next week, what we're going to look at is we are going to look at the film Woman on the Run, starring Ann Sheridan, and we're going to make the drink the Ann Sheridan with that video. So from a back corner in the back of Eddie Muller's Noir Bar, we say cheers.